Okay, so for our session this afternoon, Sir Jason will explain the un the unit 2, which is major extension approaches and tools, no? And for our objectives, in this unit, we're going to discuss the different extension approaches and tools. So in this unit, we will learn kung this approaches, no, the different approaches, and how it will affect sa mga changing rural conditions para that will lead to development. And of course, we're going to list down lahat ng mga major extension approaches, whatever this, and their characteristic or features, and how reforms have affected extension services. So based on history, parang nagbabago, like mga trends sa fashion and everything sa technology, nagbabago din ang ating extension approaches. So ano yung mga reforms natin? And then explain privatization and decentralization ng mga extension services natin. Ibig sabihin, paano siya naging private entity at na-decentralize, no? And according to the pluralistic nature and market-led oriented services. And also explain ano yung mga major extension tools and mga relevant context and appropriate para sa ating program in this in this unit, no? But in this unit, at this point, we will just discuss as an introduction, we will know the different, yung mga na-mention natin sa objectives. So we will just discuss the evolution and features of extension. So for this, we will just look into kung ano yung mga rural conditions natin which are changing, leading to development and promotion ng mga approaches, and ano yung mga major extension approaches natin. So, Sir Jason, can you read our introduction?
Introduction. Extension programs are developed with a particular goal in mind. There are various worldviews or paradigms on how to best achieve these goals. This brings out about different extension approaches. Consider that a philosophical approach is one in which you handle a problem in a structured, rational, and unbiased way. These approaches often change over time in response to new thinking and developments.
Dali lang ha. Kaya ako sila yung screenshot akong topic para hindi ko malibog. Okay, so there are mga kuan siya. There are, what do you call that? Three extension. Kanang mga terms to consider, kasali na doon yung 7. Kasali na yung paradigm. So let's have a parang definition of terms. So when we say paradigm, Sir Jason.
Paradigm, a model of or framework of ideas. So kanang paradigm mo na siya katong mali mo na siya og kanang concept ninyo kung saan nyo pagkuhan sa inyo ang ideas.
Okay, how about goal?
Goal, a measurable end result that you set out to achieve. So mo na siya ang end game sa inyo ang ipangbuhat na kuan na 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 report.
And rational.
Rational, logical, and fact-based approach. Some
So when we say logical, reasonable enough, no? Anong rational kasi, we should have a reason, palit ko sa mong iro. Reasonable enough kanong we were conducting such such program, diba? And of course, unbiased means
Judging a situation fairly by ignoring personal views and anything that is irrelevant or not based on fact. So, fair dapat, ma'am.
Mhm. And
Dili
when
siya
we
dapat magsalikuan.
dili dapat mag-ansa.
Dili dapat kuan siya sa pikas pabor. Di
Yeah.
pabor-pabor.
Yeah. And then but then if you have to choose which view ang i-adopt, then which one you should if ever yung mga tao or yung mga grupo have contrasting views. So which one dapat if you are unbiased? Katong based
Ito sa
on
fact, ma'am, kanang tinuod siya, ma'am.
scientifically, no? But although not all things are true, no, na based on what we observe, based on what we have seen, kasi sometimes like for example, judgmental kay tano na ay duha ka mag-ina sa jeep, or for example duha ka tao nag-holding hands like boy and girl, and we directly judge them as of course lovers, no, or girlfriend boyfriend, but then later on maybe in this, especially in this generation, boy and girl sila pero best of friends lang pala sila kasi bisexual pala yung lalaki or yung babae, no? It means they like their own kanang masculine type or feminine type na or yung ginatawag nila nga maya, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So ikaw, Jason, sigurado na ka na lalaki siya. Magbutday ko, no?
Sure na, ma'am, eh. Straightforward.
So anyway, basta din mag-change pa imong view, no? So speaking of view, kasi I've got a lot of friends na mga male friends, no? Na lalaki kayo sila at first, but then only to find out after 10 years, maya na day sila, no? So when we say worldview, ano yon?
Worldview, a system of values and beliefs that affect how individuals see the world and act. So ilang pananaw, ma'am, pananaw sa isa ka tao. Kung unsa yang kwan ba, characteristics ug yang pagtuo.
Yes. So these are important terms that we should observe in extension, no? So ano yung mga evolution o like when you say the evolution of our environment. So we also have evolution and extension approaches. So at saka yung mga advantages and disadvantages ng mga approaches. So unang-una, ano itong transfer of technology approach, Sir Jason?
Transfer of technology approach was originally based on the idea that technology is developed and transferred in a linear fashion from developer to user. Scientists who had developed high-yielding varieties of maize and rice used the transfer of technology approach to get information, seed, and fertilizer to farmers in order to increase their yield and avoid crisis. The advantages of this approach are that it is well structured, consistent, and easy to implement. The disadvantages are that the approach is too simplistic, linear, and focused on production. It often ignores many social and institutional barriers to adoption, such as availability of input and output markets and social norms.
Okay, so what do you understand about this transfer of technology?
Transfer of technology, ma'am, kay kuan. Naga-base na lang sila sa kung sa ilang makuha gani, ma'am.
Like directly from scientists to kanang farmers, diba?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
an example of extension which is partly also social research is yung participatory research approach, no? Kakuan ka ana, kadungog ka ana.
Familiar,
Participatory.
ma'am.
So, ibig sabihin, nag-conduct ng research yung scientist, but in the transfer of technology approach, bali, murag, ano na siya, after na makonduct or results sa iyang experiment na iyahan ng gihatag sa farmer and unsay, and then no, murag gi-apply na niya sa farmer. But then in the participatory research, yung farmer on the field, actual at saka action research na talaga, no? Kanang nag-participate sila in the experiment kung how effective yung technology. No? Parang ganun, the same pa rin. No? So there are two terms. So another component ng technology, Jason, the technology.
The technology transfer approach has improved over the years by including feedback systems with farmers and researchers. The modified feedback system allows extension practitioners to provide feedback to the research groups on the needs of the farmers, resulting in solutions that target specific needs. More will be discussed on this in the systems approach section that follows. The Green Revolution was a set of research, development, and technology transfer initiatives that took place between the 1930s and 1960s that saw an increase in worldwide agricultural production. The initiatives are credited with saving millions of lives, led by Nobel Prize winner Nobel Burlow.
Mm-hmm.
They only not focus on development and provision on high yield crops, but also improving local infrastructure, management, and farming techniques across the world.
Mm-mm. So there are two terms na we have to understand, no, yung feedback at saka initiative. So anong kaibahan nila?
Feedback ma'am kay unsay mga kuan sa mga farmers ma'am unsay lang maingon sa gihatag sila na kuan ma'am technology.
Mm-hmm. And initiative.
Ang initiative ma'am kung unsa ang mabuhat na nila ang dapat ipabuhat sa researcher, kabalo na sila ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So, therefore, itong transfer of technology approach is that from scientists directly to the farmer, transfer of technology, kung ano yan, for example, yung sinabi nila yung Green Revolution, yun yung parang transfer no 1930s to 1960s, no? But then, please also take note na meron siya mga advantages and disadvantages mentioned kanina, no? Like for example, simple ra kay siya and there are factors like yung available ba yung input-output markets and social norm, no? Yun yung mga disadvantage niya na hindi masasagot in this type of approach. So that is just one of the approach. How about educational approach?
Educational approach, the extension system of the United States, and several other approaches are based on the concept of adult education, where the main focus is to increase the educational level of rural adults. This empowers farmers to address problems on their own and teach each others. The approach uses non-formal learning, a structured learning approach aimed at the needs of a specific group of people who often have not enjoyed the benefit of formal education. Education is normally done in association with educational institutions such as the land-grant universities in the United States.
Mm-hmm. So
The
ayun, no?
advantages, ah,
Okay, continue.
the advantages of this educational approach are the creation of connections between research groups and farmers, the freeing up of extension practitioners through the use of institutional staff, and educational institutions can experience real-world applications of teaching material. The disadvantages are that the farmers may not benefit from the teaching because of the academic language of instruction, as well as the lack of practical farming experience of the institutional lecturers or demonstrators.
Okay, so maliwanag naman, no, na kung educational approach kumpara doon sa transfer of technology. Sa educational approach, more on although non-formal learning siya kasi hindi naman nagbabayad yung mga out of school na people, no, or youth or whoever. Pero structured kasi siya. And then yung mga nabanggit na mga ano na tawag doon, yung mga language na gagamitin based on sa kanilang instruction, no? So pwede lang baby na klasiko. Wait lang, na klasiko. Oo niya, naka-record siya. So, matawag na ako after. Hantod 6 akong klase, ani. 7 pa gani. Bye-bye. Sangkan. Uy. So, ayun, no? That's, it's still educational approach, no? Basta mo ganig ka ng, like for example, sa toang area, which is agriculture. Magtudlo ta sa ilahog ka ng, like for example, kung unsa tong mga lessons sa craft science, like craft science 1 or horticulture, anak mga inaana, no? Instead of like metry production, yung ganon. Maragi transfer lang nato sa ilaha ba kung unsay kulang sa ilaha. So how about systems approach?
System approach. As development actors saw that the transfer of technology approach did not always work, they began to focus more on the entire system rather than just certain crops or production and productivity. Existing approaches now include the farming systems research and extension, the agricultural knowledge and information systems approach, and more recent agricultural innovation systems approach that emerged between the 1970s and 1990s. The systems approaches are more holistic and include other elements beyond production.
Okay, so from the word system, so ibig sabihin, yung kanyang ginagamit ay yung system instead yung paano mag-produce ng crops or paano maging productive, no? More on anong kulang sa farming in the, like for example, in Davao region, anong problema sa farming? So yun yung sinasagot sa system approach. So mostly ang problema natin ay market, 'di ba? 'Di ba,
Yes,
Jason?
ma'am.
So diha mag-focus ang extension sa marketing. So you just continue.
Such as marketing and management, they also tend to recognize a wider number of actors involved in extension, such as the private sector, other farmers, NGOs, and agro-dealers. The farming systems research and extension approach mentioned in the technology transfer section evolved simultaneously in Africa, Asia, Latin America. This approach is systematic and interdisciplinary and involves farmer perspectives. Its advantages are it speeds up technology development, it promotes dialogue between researchers and farmers, it allows for adaptive research, it focuses on the entire farming system. Disadvantages include it is time consuming and expensive, it is focused primarily on research, and it is biased towards some disciplines.
Okay. So
An
yun,
example,
yeah,
wala na din, ma'am.
yung FSR na example yan ng farming system, no, na parang system talaga yung kanyang no, the model of technology from transfer from research sa farming system extension and then farming and so on, parang siya cycle, no? So we should understand what is holistic and what is agro-dealer and interdisciplinary. Of course, we have there naman the definition. So when we say holistic, the whole situation, and agro-dealer, of course, yung nagbebenta ng mga products ng agriculture, and interdisciplinary, lahat ng academic field actually are involved in farming, no? Sciences, basic sciences, even physics, no, included yan, although di naman masyado. So in this system approach, ang more on advantage siya in terms of technology development. But consuming lang siya, time consuming, expensive of course. So another example ay yung AKIS approach, no? Or meron ding bago, the AIS model, or this is promoted in this module kasi publication ito ng GFRAS, no, kanina in the first page. So ito yung model nila, AKIS and AIS approaches, wherein we have the knowledge in agriculture information system from research going towards the farmers, and with extension services and educational system. So dito you have to involve exporters, processors, mga producers, mga input supply provider, and importante din magkaroon ng provider ng capital or credit agency. So in our country, meron tayong land bank. So madami pa din na nagpo-provide ng parang pautang para sa mga farmers natin, and also mga non-government agencies. So ito yung mga Agriculture Innovation System or AIS, no? Or the AKIS approach. So what is commodity extension approach?
Commodity extension approach are focused on supply chains and inputs of specific products such as coffee or milk. Extension agents only focus on that commodity, oftentimes from seed to market. While this is good for business in terms of sales, it is not a holistic approach and the farmer may not have access to advice on the other crops, livestock, or natural resources on the farm. This system is often seen in corporate extension programs where the aim is to promote the production of crop of importance to a specific company or stakeholder.
Okay, so naka-base lang talaga siya sa yung product or commodity. For example, yung coffee or milk. So lahat madaming mga extension service like yung ginagawa ni Sir JP ngayon, wherein I was invited as speaker doon sa kanilang coffee production. So yun yung mga example ng commodity extension approach kung saan naka-focus lang, kumukuha sila ng mga
Lang ka
area,
product ma'am kanang gamiton ma'am ay lang ikuan ma'am.
commodity, like
Kana
for
lang na
example, kape, gatas, no? Yun. So ano yung advantage and disadvantages nito?
advantages include the well-developed system and the potential for high reward when input costs are considered. Disadvantages include potentially biased information, limited focus on specific crops, and control of prices. Commodity-based companies such as tobacco, tea, and horticultural crops often use this approach.
Okay, so yun yung mga example. No, kaso disadvantage niya is mga yung bias daw na information, limited lang daw ng mga crops. Okay, so another approach is the farmer participatory extension approach.
Farmer participatory extension focuses on the needs of resource for farmers who may be involved in needs analysis, program design, and evaluation studies. This process is similar to the FSRE model but is neither a top-down nor bottom-up approach. It is a more inclusive approach that focuses on participatory learning and involves the engagement of all stakeholders.
Okay. So, yeah, example is yung FPNE, no? So, based sa need nila doon sa India. Example yan. So, we also have this one, yung na-mention ko kanina na farmer participatory extension approach, no, na kung saan nagpa-participate mismo yung farmer, kung saan sila yung So, ito yung model, no, na ginamit nila. So, it's really participatory kasi hindi lang farmer ang naka-focus dito, no? Lahat ng mga stakeholder. Situation analysis, so sila brainstorming. Okay, so yeah, meron din tayong parang FP&E. So i-google mo lang yan, no? So when we say capacity, it's the training ability of individuals. And in this approach, this is flexible and adaptive to the needs ng clientele, not only farmers but also yung mga industry player. But ang pinaka-advantage nito is long-term siya na ma-adapt yung technology at saka yung capacity development ng mga indigenous knowledge. However, yung extension needs really to develop new skills approach and time-consuming din siya kasi napaka-complex yung nature and yung assessment is also long-term impact. So meron tayong case study for this, no? And this is AIS innovation, agriculture innovation system innovation. So this is based on Utopia. Okay, so I guess we will just stop from here, no? Kasi for reforms na extension, that would be next meeting. So this is the example of the AIS approach in Utopia. So you can see here, key players are all interconnected, no? We have researchers, ag extension services, mga supplier, community, private exporter, the farmer, and traders, input supplier, cooperatives, NGOs, mga private processors. So hindi talaga mawawala yung mga processors at saka yung capital provider or yung mga financial services. So in as a summary, innovation is both technical and social, institutional process, and everything has link between private, traditional research, and government. So lahat tayo interconnected, no? Hindi tayo, we cannot work alone to solve the problem of our farming industry or agriculture. So we have to connect each other, collaborate each other, kasi in that way, we can minimize and we can facilitate development, no, more. And another important key is yung sustainability. Not only ng extension service, but also yung wide range of relationships natin. Yung role ng institution sa innovation at saka research, no? In order to provide the farmer with the necessary technology. And social networks, which is complex interlinked nature and requires constant communication, no? Like mag-uyab na lang gani, no? Masige pag-away. Unsa na lang ka ng you are in an organization with different collaborative agencies, no? And so it's very important yung social individual learning process. Because in education, not only farmer, but all parties are required to transform, to be progressive. So if one of each single entity is not informed of the benefits of what you're doing, which is change, so the entire process will be halted, no? It's not enough para to move to your goal. So I guess yun lang. And do you have any questions or clarification, Jason?
Wala, ma'am.
So sorry, I have to be quick kasi nag-set ko klase kasi 5:40 and 5:47 na. So if you
Yeah,
have
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
so mag-update lang ko later, ha? Sige,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you and bye-bye. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
explanation. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.